Jordan Peterson is just an amazing individual. I have so much, I'm so in awe of him because I just feel that I think people don't realize because it's happening in the motion what he's done for faith. I think they don't realize it. Today, check this out, people. If you haven't watched a the debate, it's a debate between Jordan Peterson and Susan Blackmore, then you can YouTube it and it'll come up. I think it's about an hour. I think it's under an hour. I watched it today. Wow. That's all I'm gonna say. Just wow. Honestly. Dr. Susan Blackmore, she oh my god. I think a decade ago I went to her lecture here in the UK, give or take. And it had the theme of sorry, I went to a conference. She was one of the speakers there. The theme of the conference was I've forgotten this, but it was basically that are we genetically wired to believe in God? So naturally, she is a militant, staunch atheist of the most bitter kind that you can find. And I never forgot her after that was the first time I'd come across her. And then I came to realize, oh, okay, she's really she's well known in the atheist community. She has a book on consciousness. She has all this. I bought her book on consciousness, but you see, she was so just in that lecture, she was so just vitriolic and so, man, she had axes to grind. She just, she was really so vile towards religions. And I get it. Look, I kind of psychoanalyzed her whilst I was there many years ago, whilst I was still doing my psychology degree at the conference. So now because she during her lecture she had a whole slideshow and she brought up all these things and her photographs, and she brought up stuff and she showed us and she talked us through a whole lecture of obviously why God is nonsense and BS and religions are full of, and she very didn't hold back, like really went in fact, I remember one of the organizers of the conference was and he was I mean, I don't know him, but he was a Hindu. He was an Indian Hindu. So obviously I could see he was Asian, but I didn't know he's Hindu till afterwards. When she was slating religions, this is like a flashbulb memory I have of it. I remember her going onto the whole Hindu, like she was saying, nonsense and the river Ganges, and she went in. Like, I mean, taking no prisoners. She went into the stench of crap and this and that, and she accidentally put her hand into it or whatever, and the stench of feces, she couldn't take it off for days. And she went in, like I'm telling you, she was and I remember afterwards, just as I was packing away and I could hear that guy in the court, he was really upset. And he was kind of just saying that this ain't right, you shouldn't be this kind of offensive. Look, I'm put that all aside. I'm just describing what happened. I'm not saying she doesn't have the right to be. It's her views. She can do as she likes and say as she pleases. The point is that she was very unbridled in her way. Now, I do get it. In her lecture, she showed things of she used to be a Christian. She grew up a Christian. Her relationship. She has some disability, by the way. She mentioned it at the thing as well. I think her one leg is shorter than the other leg or something. But this is about a decade ago. I'm trying to recall it now. She mentioned something about, look, my leg is like this, and in a way, I feel there was this kind of baggage of spite against God. She mentioned how her marriage collapsed, how her relationships didn't work, or at that point, I don't know, maybe she's got obviously new relationships now, but her husband it kind of all broke down in a divorce, and I felt that there was this thing against God, that if there's a God, how can this happen to me? Which is obviously a very powerful question. But put that all aside, this is my memory of her. And I always had this thing. And in between, I'd seen a lecture or two of hers, over the years on YouTube. And never been a fan. I'd always been, because that memory, the first encounter with her was always very like, I don't know, I guess coming back to us being emotional entities who rationalize, who think. My emotional encounter with her wasn't pleasant. Although she wasn't displeasant or discourteous towards me, I was just one of the people in the audience. But the kind of takeaway that I had at a consciousness level wasn't pleasant. So I ended up watching today, and I think it's a few years old, this debate between her and Jordan Peterson. Oh, wow. Wow. She knew she was so mismatched. It was He wiped the floor with her like 10x. Like, he really took it to town. God, he's just so overqualified for that discussion with her. And it was like she clear, when a person clearly knows that, right? Okay, they just go quiet. That's what it was. Just it was a powerful debate on religion, and I wish some of it could have carried on more. And it was all about, and it's fascinating how Jordan Peterson in the end brings her to this point, because it's a discussion, by the way. It's a discussion debate, the best kind they are. A person can just talk to each other. It's always what I'd said in the past when people had said, look, let's have debates, and I'd said, like, let's have discussions, the conversations where we just talk. And so now there's a point where she speaks about how meditation helps her. And she says, well, I'm grateful. I wake up in the morning, I have gratitude. And then Jordan Peterson, in fact, I think the moderator asks her, he says, is that to someone specific? Like, who? And Jordan Peterson asks her, to who? And she says, well, I don't really have gratitude towards anyone or anything. I just have gratitude. And so Jordan Peterson says, well, gratitude by definition is usually to something. You're grateful to something. So, or someone. It is expressed to someone. And so she says, well, I'm just grateful. It's like to a nothingness. And he says, well, then that, inexplicable nothingness is your God. And she says, no, well, I'm just grateful to the universe. And he says, well, well, there you have it then. Because how do you get around that one? As human beings, there is so much peace in being grateful. Allah has hidden this, that la in shakartum la azidannakum. Now, who you say, well, okay, I'm not grateful to anyone, like not to God. Okay, maybe to people, but obviously she gave the example of it was a beautiful morning. So if it's a beautiful morning, you're not going to be grateful to your neighbor. It's a beautiful morning. So you're grateful to, but she doesn't want to say God, obviously. So she says, I'm just grateful to nature. It's like, well, okay. Interessante. Exactly. It's a force beyond you, greater than you. So yeah, that was just wow. So that was something today. I thought I'd share that with you guys.